Okay, Martha, I'm going to start the ball off.
All right.
All right. Hello and good evening to the planning board meeting for the 18th of November. So as a preliminary matter, my name is Pete Pecos. I'm the chair for the Newbury Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Larry Murphy,
Here.
Leslie Matthews,
Here.
Woody Knight.
Here.
Town Council, Brian Winer?
Brian is present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Town staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Martha Taylor,
Here.
Emily Noble.
Here.
Great. Anticipated speakers, presenters on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Christopher York.
He is here. I saw him.
Great. Eva and Fred Jackman.
Eva's here.
Okay. Scott Kinter.
He's just joining now.
Okay.
Here.
Great. Thanks. Bob Grasso.
Here.
Mark DePiro.
He's here. He's muted.
Okay. Arthur Constanzas.
I don't know if Arthur Costonis is here or not.
Jill Mann.
She will be coming in about 7:45.
Thank you. Stephen Sawyer.
Here.
Great. And Tom Z.
He's here. He's muted, but he's here.
Here. Sorry.
Thanks. I wasn't going to try, Tom.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening. This is November 18th, 2020. Open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to an outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor order supersedes the requirement of the open meeting law to have meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which can be found posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted Planning Board's agenda, which can be found on the Planning Board section of the town's website, which identifies how the public may join. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID 832-7141-3056, or by calling 1-929-205-6099 and entering 832-7141-3056. When prompted, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference. Meeting materials were provided to the board members prior to the meeting for review. Applicants or their representatives may be called upon to speak and, if needed, share information to the screen. Please state your intention after you have been called upon. So here are kind of meeting ground rules. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, let me cover some rules that will allow us to have effective and clear conduct for our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, as the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, for all attendees except board members and staff, please remember to mute your phone, which is toggle 6 to mute or unmute, or on your computer, the mute button when you are not speaking. Please use earbuds or earphones with tablets or cell phones. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that will help generate accurate minutes. Please be aware that video participants can see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any response, please wait until I've yielded the floor to you. You would state your name before speaking. If board members wish to engage in any discussion with other members, please do so through the chair and identify yourself when you wish to speak. Regarding public comments, there will be an opportunity for public comments and questions during our public hearings. After board members have spoken, I will afford the public an opportunity to comment and/or ask questions as follows. I will see questions and comments through the Zoom raise hand function. For video conference participants, to raise your hand, click on the participants buttons in the menu below the photo gallery at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Hover your cursor over this area if you don't see it. A list of participants will open and display on the right. At the bottom of the participants area, you will see an option to click on raise hand button. Please ensure that your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. You can rename yourself by using the more functions next to your name. For telephone participants, to raise your hand in the Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your phone keypad. I will then allow questions and comments from members of the public who have raised their hands in the order in which they are listed. The system listed in order who first raises their hand with a raise hand function. Each participant will be called on to provide his or her name and address, and then ask a question or make comment. I will afford the applicant participant or his or her representative the opportunity to reply. Your hand will be lowered when you have been given the floor for your questions. I will then continue down the list of those in the raise hand column and again afford participant applicants, representatives an opportunity to speak. Should there be any physical or electronic submission of questions or concerns, they will be noted for the record. And again, the participants, applicants, representatives will have an opportunity to speak if issues raised have not been addressed. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call, and my vice chair will make sure that that does in fact occur. Just some opening remarks. We're at 7:07. We do have a series of public hearings that will start at 7:15. And we're just basically going to follow our agenda. Since we do have 3 public hearings, each session will be limited to approximately 30 to 45 minutes if possible, out of a courtesy to the applicants, members of the public in attendance, as well as board members. Okay, let's pop up the agenda if I can. Minimize this and pop this up. Okay, so what I see first on our agenda is submission appearance, Martha, Stephen Sawyer, Design Consultants, submission of preliminary subdivision plan, Surrey Lane of 105, High Road map R48, lot 49, applicant Tapiro LLC. Is this going to be taking place now, Martha, or is this going to be taking place later at the request of the applicant?
So we did have a request from Jill Mann to table this until until later in the meeting when Jill will be able to arrive. She's arriving around 7:45.
Okay, great.
Steve, I don't know if you have been sort of authorized to present
Yeah,
this.
I was aware in the event it wasn't going to be tabled till later, I'd be available to speak on it, but I'd prefer we'll wait till Jill can make it.
Thank you, Steve. So I don't see any old business, Martha, on our agenda. Under new business, we have a pre-application review proposed 7-lot OSRD, 15 Coleman Road, map R20, lots 12 and 13, owner applicant Tom Z. Is this an appropriate time for Tom to make a presentation, Martha?
I don't think we have enough time. We only have 5 minutes till the hearing starts, so I would suggest that this come after the hearings as scheduled.
Wonderful. Then let's go to the town planners report since we have a couple minutes.
So I don't have a whole lot to report tonight. I do want to remind the board that we have a couple of public hearings that are going to be opening in December. 84 Boston Road site plan review on the 2nd, and the 3 Newburyport Turnpike site plan review in conjunction with the Select Board's special permit water supply protection overlay district on December 16th. And I do have hard copies of those plans and applications if anybody would like to have them.
Okay.
Other than that, I think other things that we have pending, I've mentioned in previous meetings. So I think that's it for me for right now.
Okay, great. Thanks, Martha. Larry, do you have anything? Larry, do you have anything from the ZBA that you want to touch on?
Just briefly, the regular monthly meeting is tomorrow night. There are several findings on the agenda and a variance, but also might be of interest to the board because you recall we had extensive hearings on Seacoast Canine, and they're on for tomorrow night. And then the Cricket Lane 40B special meeting is on for December 3rd. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Leslie, do you have anything briefly on the select board?
Nothing that is actually pertains to us in particular. Most of the conversation was about PEG access. And that was the lengthiest part of the meeting, and not much else was,
Okay,
prominent.
all right. Martha, do we have anything from MVPC?
Actually, no, we have our monthly commissioners meeting tomorrow morning at 11 and a planner's monthly check-in tomorrow morning as well. So I'll have more to report next time.
Okay, great. So I have to stretch 4 minutes with Concom. Okay, here we go. Did I talk about the site walk that was done on our last meeting? Maybe not.
So,
Okay, so there was a site walk on Plum Island of the proposed emergency access road. So that was attended by a number of individuals. And I think there's going to be 2 proposals the town might be bringing back for discussion. So that'll be coming back to Concom. Other than that, I think the next meeting will be next Tuesday. And then we'll go from there. So
the same night as the select board meeting?
it could very well be. I found last week we had a meeting, and there was also a meeting that I had to be on for Concom. So things kind of got, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Just access and
Yeah, I'd like to attend, but being the liaison for the select board, sometimes it prohibits me from being in attendance to the Concom.
I understand the multiple hat problem, Leslie. I'm there.
Quick question though on that. Was there any discussion on an in-road and an out-road access like 14th and 16th Street?
So like our site walks is really no discussion. It's
No discussion at this point in time.
right,
Okay.
information
Understood.
gathering, looking at the environment, getting a feel for that. So that's again how that site walk would take place. Just as
I'll
our
go back
site
and
walks.
watch the last meeting.
Okay, very good.
Oh. Just an additional note, I think there's a possibility, depending on what happens, that might come before the board for site plan review as well. But not 100% sure about that.
So to be determined.
To be determining, yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Larry, do you have anything that you want to fill us in on for a moment or two? We have two moments until we have the start of our public hearings.
No, I don't have anything further.
Okay. Woody, do you have anything?
Oh, it's cold out. It's cold in 30 seconds. So
Well, you got another minute, so you can kick it around.
And how cold is it?
Really. This is unusual, folks. We usually have other items on the agenda that we can discuss prior to our start of our scheduled meeting, but at this meeting, we're actually very light on the upfront stuff, so we'll have much more on the back end sort of stuff. So I'm just going to pull up the agenda because I'm going to do that at the appropriate time. So I have to get this screen up and minimize this a little bit. All right.
Well, in the one remaining minute, I will,
Yeah.
just as another reminder to the board members, I will be sending information regarding further CPTC workshops as they come in. And again, I recommend them very, very highly if you're able to attend any of them.
Yeah, I've signed up for a couple, and one of them was the affordable housing informational. So I'm looking forward to that.
Super.
Perfect. Excellent kickoff time. We're at 7:15. So we're going to open up our public hearings. The first public hearing is going to be a continued public hearing of a definitive subdivision plan for Farm View Lane, 68 Green Street, map R35, lot 21, owner applicant, 68 Green Street Realty Trust. Eva Jackman, trustee. It's continued from October 21, 2020. And let's see. I would turn the floor over to the applicant engineer to see if there's any new information to discuss. So would that be you, Chris?
Sure, good evening. My, well said, okay. So I spoke with Martha this afternoon, a couple emails back and forth on the draft decision. That's really the latest on our end at this point.
And is there anything further, Chris?
No, nothing, not yet. I'll
Okay.
see what Martha says and can kind of go from there, I guess.
Martha, do we want to have any discussion with regards to Joe's comments and the abutters comments that need to be incorporated?
So I did go through, and I was really hoping to get together a list of other conditions that had been referenced in Joe's comments, and I went through them, but wasn't able to actually put together the list, I'm afraid.
Okay.
There are a couple. One of the ones that I spoke with Chris about this afternoon is there is a hump right at the beginning of the roadway close to Green Street that's going to be cut down. And there's a possibility that there's ledge there. So Chris and I had a discussion about whether it's likely that the applicant would want to blast that or to hammer it.
Okay.
And so I think that the feeling is that there would be no blasting. So that's probably another condition that we would want to add to add to the decision.
Right.
Also going through the abutters comments, there was quite a bit of concern raised about having a gravel road versus a paved road. The board did vote to accept the waiver for having a gravel surface instead of an asphalt surface. But we should probably stipulate in the decision that there should be an O&M plan for maintenance of the gravel roadway, as part of the homeowners association documents.
Do we want to pop up our quick little draft, our first draft, Martha? And see if there's any comments from board members on that?
Yep, I can do that. And it'll probably be good to review the waivers and then go through the conditions that are written there right now.
Okay.
So let me see if I can successfully do this time.
All right.
All right. Can you see it?
Yeah, that looks good.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like me to make it any bigger?
Yeah.
A little bit. So do you want me to kind of go over the basics and then we can go to the waiver?
I think that'd be helpful.
Okay. So it, basically starts with when the decision was approved. There's just a description of the existing conditions on the site. Then a description of what the proposed project is, which is the 3 lots and a gravel roadway. The listing of all the information that we received, including the original application, as well as additional submissions from the applicant, comments from abutters, comments from our review engineer, and comments, departmental comments, which I think there was only one that was from the fire chief regarding sprinkling the buildings instead of having the 20,000 gallon cisterns. And then we get down to the waivers. So the first one was the waiver for the requirement for the environmental analysis. And our subdivision rules and regs do allow that to be waived if the development is 5 lots or fewer. And even though there are wetlands, floodplain, and a small portion of ACEC, all of the work is proposed to be outside of the floodplain, and the ACEC and the Conservation Commission has reviewed the roadway. Any house construction septic system will go back before the Concom for work in the buffer zone. There was a request that the board waive the requirement for a 30-foot property line radius at the street to allow 15-foot radius on the south side. The 30-foot is maintained on the north side. And Chris, I don't know if you want to speak to this any more about the justification for that.
Yeah, I can. There's a couple of reasons for it. The beginning of the property is kind of awkward, where it's very skinny before it widens out in the back. So we originally had 0 radius at that southerly end. I was able to shift the right of way up as far as I could until we hit that pinch point kind of by like where parcel Y is, almost where the barn is. So I can't move the roadway any further to the north. I also, I could have rotated the road a little bit, but I don't want, the idea of the road coming in at an angle on Green Street, I don't think would have been a good idea. So it's better to have it come in perpendicular. So that kind of kept us from getting any better than the 15-foot radius that we could provide.
Okay, any questions on that before I go on?
No,
All right. Then the next one was waiving the turnaround dimension requirements for the cul-de-sac, reducing the sideline diameter to 110 feet from 165 feet, and the 95-foot roadway diameter, or 140 down to 95 feet, and no center island, and therefore no minimum pavement width. If there were an island, the pavement width would need to be 25 feet. So this is consistent with similar subdivisions that have been approved. The design has been okayed by the fire department, and there are conditions regarding snow removal. Further
is
down,
it going to be snow removal, or is it going to be places on the property where snow can be pushed to the side?
snow storage. Actually, that's a good question. Chris, I don't know if there is any designated snow storage area. I think that the condition is to keep the right of way and the turnaround completely clear of snow.
There's a little room in between the edge of gravel and the swale. Ultimately the plow will come in and just push snow to the edge of the roadway, basically. I don't think we showed any specific locations for it on the plan,
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any.
but I think ultimately it's just they're going to come in, they're going to push the snow to the edge of the roadway like they do on any other road in town.
And Chris, when you say a little room, can you be a little bit more specific on what that room would be? So we have a better understanding on when there is snow, if the road is reduced, how would it be, to what degree would it be reduced?
It's hard to say exactly. We're proposing 25 feet of paved, or 22 feet of 12 feet of gravel on the roadway. So I mean, I would imagine you probably have, depending on the size of the storm, you're probably going to have 20 feet of or 20 feet of gravel roadway after the snow is plowed. My guess. I mean, some of the snow will probably end up in those swales, which I think is fine in the wintertime anyways. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Martha?
Let's see, the next one is the request to waive the requirement for an asphalt or bituminous concrete wearing surface to allow gravel. And again, this is consistent with similar size subdivisions that have been allowed. As I mentioned before, we should have some sort of an O&M plan on that. That'll be part of the homeowners association responsibility to control dust in the summer and things like that. The next one was to waive the requirement for a sidewalk along one side of the street, along with the suggested inclusion of a bicycle path. And the board felt comfortable with this, given the small size and rural setting of the project. It allows for the use of low impact design techniques for stormwater management, including country drainage. The next one was the request to waive the requirement for the 20,000 gallon underground water storage tanks, which are required because it's not served by public water supply. And the fire chief has actually explicitly said that they would much prefer to have the houses sprinkled. And this is something that we should look to change in our subdivision rules and regs.
Keeps popping up, doesn't it?
It does, but that's fine.
Can I ask a quick question about the difference between running a hose and being sprinkled. What's the difference like in as far as gallons that are being poured into, a facility that is on fire? It's just for my own personal, I just would like to understand that a little better. I understand, it's being sprinkled, but the water is still coming from somewhere.
Well, actually, I can't really answer the gallonage, but the way the chief has explained it to me is there are systems now, sprinkler systems, where there's no, if there's no public water supply, there's a storage tank in the basement. And what this allows for the fire department is that it begins the process of putting the fire out, or at least keeping it under control until the fire trucks can actually get there and start pumping with the tanker truck. So it helps the process as far as they're concerned. So
Okay,
that's
so
really
it slows down, it slows it down until the emergency equipment can get there to be on site.
Right, and if it's small enough, it might even put it out before they get there. But they feel that it's a real benefit. So that doesn't really answer your question, but it does go to why they feel that it's helpful to do. And the systems that have been developed to work off of wells with a storage tank, they feel are very, very effective.
Thank you.
Welcome. The next one was the request to waive the requirement for slope granite curbing. Curbing, actually, the way our subdivision rules and regs, it requires sloped granite curbing only in a situation where country drainage can't be used. Since country drainage is being used here, in a sense, this waiver request isn't really necessary, but this kind of reinforces the use of the country drainage and low impact development techniques. The next one was a request that the board waive the requirement for side slopes to be no steeper than 3 to 1. They'd like to use 2 to 1 slopes. And Chris, maybe you can address this one as well.
Yeah, there's a spot, one spot in particular down near the end of the road on the southerly side, where we needed to go to 2 to 1 in order to catch the grades before it hit the property line. Because as I said, 2 to 1 slopes are still easily walkable and easily mowable. So this is 2 to 1 slopes are pretty common anyways. So I don't see an issue with that change in slope.
Is that the lot that sits on more of the northern side of the property?
No, this was on the southerly side of the road, kind of right where the cul-de-sac begins, really, so was the kind of the worst spot.
Okay,
We just needed to, it's pretty, slopes off pretty good in that area off to the south, to the property to the south, so we had a hard time catching the grade, so it helped going with the 2 to 1 slope.
Okay.
All right, so that was it for the waiver requests, unless I missed something. Chris, did I get them all?
I think you did, yep.
Okay.
Great. Let's see.
And then the next would be conditions of approval, if the board would like to go through those just very briefly.
Sure.
And they're very similar to the most recent subdivision approval that was granted. So the first one is the requirement for some form of security or performance guarantee that needs to be decided on prior to endorsement of the plan by the board. And then pre-construction meeting prior to start of clearing and construction, prior to occupancy, getting the homeowners association documents in place, approved and in place. Subdivision road was kind of a general statement, including the fact that it will remain private. Condition regarding screening between the property and abutting properties to work with the abutters. That was another comment that several of the abutters had made, concern about the visibility of the dwellings in the subdivision from their properties. And which is a little bit more visible now that the leaves are off the trees. The requirement for snow removal along the length and width of the subdivision road in the area of the turnaround. Any additional requirements that the fire department may have. Board of Health, applicant shall obtain any and all necessary approvals from the Board of Health under Title V for septic system installation. And this leads actually to another condition. Joe had mentioned some concern about the fact that there's no grading shown on any of the individual lot, it's just for the roadway. So he recommends that there be a condition that the board at least have an opportunity to review the grading in the lots when permits are being sought after. Conservation Commission has closed their hearing. I think the order of conditions has actually not been issued yet, but it's in process. Is that correct, Chris?
I have not seen one yet.
Okay, yeah,
Whether it's been done or not, I don't know.
yeah. I think they were waiting to see if there are any other plan changes that came out of our process.
Okay.
And post-construction plans, inspections during construction, getting the plan recorded, and then lapse if construction doesn't start within 2 years or substantial use thereof. And any modification needs to come back before the board if it's anything other than a slight modification to the design or layout of structures and infrastructure. So that's basically it as it stands right now.
Okay. Thanks for going through that, Martha.
You're welcome. Shall I drop it down?
Please. Yep. So Chris, you're all set with the draft that we have working right now?
Yep, I'm good with it.
Okay, and the Jackmans are as well? Eva and Fred?
Eva, I think you
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Martha, do we have any other public comments that we need to acknowledge or talk about?
well, I think Ray Andrews is here and indicated to me earlier today that he might want to speak. He's got some concerns about the screening that's been proposed along the sort of the edge of the right of way.
Okay. Ray, would you like to address the board? Just identify and address me. Thanks.
Yes, Ray Andrews. I'm at 66 Green Street. And just a quick comment, we're actually, the Jackmans and I are in agreement for us to purchase parcel Y, which is the slice of land between my lot and the right of way, the road going in. It gives me a little bit extra buffer between my house and the road. And in the original plan that was submitted, there was agreement that there would be trees planted to act as a buffer. But in the latest plan, those trees ended up on parcel Y, which I don't want to buy the land and then have to put the trees, on my land. I thought the agreement was that I'd be purchasing land and the trees that would be on the edge of the right of way. If that makes sense to everyone.
So Chris and I did communicate about that a little bit today. It appears that there is room in the right of way to move those trees south. Chris,
That's correct. Yep.
And is that something that we would be able to, or that you would be able to facilitate?
We can show that on the final set of plans if you'd like, just kind of showing them within the, on or in the right of way.
Ray, would that address your concerns?
Yes, it would. Thank you.
Great. Anything else, Ray?
No, nothing further. Besides the fact, I think, Martha, we're waiting to see, given that we're trying to purchase parcel Y, what's the appropriate course of action in terms of the approval process? Meaning, is it possible to approve the parcel Y? I think it's an A&R approval not required. Is it possible to approve that at the same time as the subdivision approval. Because if we have to go if we have to separate the two, then according to my attorney, it gets a little tedious in that then we have to come back with a separate plan, a separate A&R, come back in front of the board and have basically the same discussion we're having now about separating off parcel Y and adding it to my land.
I did have a conversation with council about this a little earlier today. And I think maybe we could take this offline, but, and Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the subdivision should be approved with parcel Y as part of it, and then deal with separating out, conveying the parcel, doing an A&R plan or another means later.
And Mr. Chairman, may I just offer a brief comment?
Please.
So the only thing that's in front of the board is the subdivision plan. It's the only thing that's approvable before the board right now. And some of the interests and concerns that have been raised really touch and concern upon some private transactional issues. So it's a conversation I had with Ms. Taylor earlier today about some approaches to that, but it's probably more appropriately addressed offline and either through myself or through Ms. Taylor to the applicant's counsel. We could have some informal conversations around that, but really it's a strategic decision as to how you want to structure the conveyance and separate out that parcel. And that's not really board business per se, but we can pursue it a little bit further offline.
Great. That's a great recommendation. Thank you very much, Brian. Are there any other additional questions or comment or any other public comments? I don't see anything. Do you, Martha?
No, I'm not seeing any
All right.
raised hands.
All righty. Any other additional questions from board members? Larry?
No, I have nothing.
Woody?
No, not at this time.
Great. Thanks. Leslie?
No,
Okay, great. Martha, then I'd probably ask that you continue to prepare the revised draft for our next meeting. And probably I wouldn't want to close this just in case we have any other input from the applicant. So let's just take a look at our schedule to see where we can put this in, Martha.
All right, you got that?
Not yet, but it's coming.
Okay, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
I got a message that the share was. Sorry.
It's okay. The flexibility of working with technology.
Get this down.
don't ever feel you have to be sorry.
It's telling me my screen sharing is paused for some reason. So let me try it one more time.
Okay. If not, you might have to just direct us from what you can see if we
Yeah.
can't see what you see. So what Martha's trying to pull up is our activity calendar for the board.
How about
Third
now?
time. Oh, third time charm.
Oh,
Perfect.
There it is.
Great. Good. Okay.
I'm just gonna move this over a little bit. Oops,
Okay.
not that much. Get rid of the
Yep.
ones that are past.
Okay. So if we're going to bring it back and the amount of time that you need to button this up, would that be probably a couple of weeks, I would think?
And I would think we should be able to do it by the December 2nd
Okay.
meeting. I know this has been going on for a long time and the Jackmans would like to get it closed out.
All right, then why don't we put it into our December 2nd. We have the AL Prime and we have a new 80 Boston Road. Okay. That should be great.
7/15,
December 2nd.
December 12/20, 12/2/20, 7/15.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So we need a motion, second, and a vote.
Leslie, that sounds like it was right up your alley. You were writing it down.
I am. Motion to continue revised draft to 12/2/20 at 7:15 for 68 Green Street.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, very good. Any discussion? Okay, on the motion, Larry, how say you?
Yes.
Okay, Woody, how say you?
Yes.
Leslie, how say you?
Yes.
And the chair's in favor as well. Great, thanks. Perfect. Okay, let's get back to our agenda, 7:41, that's great. And let's see where we're at here. So our next continuance is a continued public hearing. Thank you, Chris, by the way.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, and even Fred. Continued public hearing for definitive subdivision plan application 23 Shandell Drive extension, map U06 lot 124 and 126, owner applicant Scott and Patricia Kinter, lot 126, and Christopher and Scara Harrison, lot 124, continued from October 21st, 2020. Let me minimize this back down. Let's see. Is either Scott or Bob Grasso, do we want to present any revised plans in response to peer review?
Sure. For the record, my name is Bob Grasso from Engineering Land Services. This is a continuance of a definitive subdivision filing. We got the comments back from Joe Sawaka, who reviewed our previous plan. Since then, we've submitted to Martha in PDF form and in hard copy with all the revisions that Joe wanted. The only thing that was he wanted to elaborate on was the right-of-way, which would it be public or private, and on the revised plan I show that it would be private, and that Scott would be in private ownership of the leaching catch basins, such as for the snow storage space, and he would have to clean out the catch basins. That's part of his lot. So he would actually own the extension. We've graded, we've detailed the drainage swales. We haven't changed the lengths or anything. We just added more grading detail to the swales, which he requested. And we also added the roof drain to the proposed tree well that would treat all the water runoff towards the pond. So basically, we just did all the revisions he wanted, grading, and that was it. And I have the letter here, and he says that he states that we revised all the things that we addressed all the issues.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bob. Martha, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I have gotten some feedback from town departments, but I don't know if you want to get to that or see if the board members have questions
Yeah,
first.
let's do that. Are there any questions from the board members? Let me just kind of go down the list. Larry, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Woody, do you have any questions, sir?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Leslie, do you have any questions?
No, after reviewing, I don't see anything.
Okay, great. Super. Do we have any public comments that you're aware of, Martha?
I have not received any public comments.
Okay.
did-
Okay.
I received emails from the DPW director, the health agent, and the building commissioner, none of whom had any issues with what's shown. I also had a conversation with the police chief, who also had no issues. You know, we talked a little bit about emergency response, since it's actually accessed from Newburyport, but everything was fine.
Okay. Wonderful. Do we have any public comment? Anyone in the public who would like to make a comment? Have a question to the board? Okay. I don't see anything. Do you, Mark?
See any raised hands? I'm just looking to see if there's anybody waving.
Okay.
I don't.
As far as our next steps, is there a sense from the board regarding approval or disapproval or need for any more information? And I just will kind of ask that. Larry?
Well, I think, Martha, if I'm not mistaken, there are just 2 items from Joe's Sawatka's last letter that need to be addressed. Is that correct?
I believe so.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, it looks pretty straightforward if they can just address those items. I think they're item 4 and 6 from Joe's letter of November 11th.
Okay.
So, I mean, if those can be addressed, I don't,
You're comfortable with things proceeding?
yeah, yes.
Okay, great. Woody?
I have no questions. I'm comfortable with proceeding.
Okay, Leslie?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with proceeding. A couple of questions for me seem to be a little bit on the minor side. So yeah, I'm really comfortable with proceeding on this.
Okay, great. If that's the case, then I'd probably like to direct Martha to start a draft decision. Okay. You in agreement, Larry?
Yes.
Woody?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Martha, how do you feel about doing that?
It's fine.
All right. That being the case, then we'll have the draft decision started. And we probably want to continue this as well because we don't want to close this until to that point, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take it again. It's going to work on the first time, Martha.
I certainly hope so.
There it is.
Yay.
See, the stars are aligned. Okay, so we were just looking at December 2nd. 68 Green, I think, was going to be pretty straightforward. This hopefully should be pretty straightforward. Do you think, Martha, or do you think it's a 16th?
Hopefully it's straightforward. My only concern is that Thanksgiving is in between, so that cuts down time a little bit. But we can give it a try.
I want, I'll take some direction from you with regards to workload and what is actually realistic to achieve.
Can I put in my personal comment on that?
Sure, Leslie.
Okay. I don't think Thanksgiving is going to be extremely overwhelming this year. And, with the COVID, that I think more business will get done during these times to push things through because everything's been set back so dramatically because of COVID.
It's just a matter of the number of days in between now and December 2nd, actually.
For
Yeah,
posting.
No, for drafting the decision. Martha has to draft the
for
decision.
Martha, she's going to be out several days.
Oh,
And plus,
I didn't
just
realize.
to put my 2 cents worth in, you do have AL Prime that night, Peter. And
That's right. I think, I'm feeling your vibe, Larry. So,
AL Prime, yeah.
yep, I'd entertain a motion to get this back onto the docket on the 16th, Larry.
I will so move at 7:15, continue the public hearing to 12:16 at 7:15
Great.
PM.
Second.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. Any discussion? Okay, Larry, how say you?
Yes.
Woody, how say you?
Yes.
Leslie, how say you?
Yes.
And the chair's in favor as well. Great. Thank you very much. And we'll continue along. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
7:50. Great. All right. Let's see what we have next on our agenda. So continuing our public hearings, we have a continuing public hearing for open space, residential development, OSRD, special permit application to 105 High Road, map R48, lot 49, owner, Arthur and Sandra Costanzas, applicant De Piero LLC, continued from October 21, 2020. So who would like to start off? Jill, Steve, or Mark?
All of you are muted right now.
I think Jill was gonna chime in.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Jill?
She's on. I think she's here.
I saw her come in.
I don't see Jill now.
Huh.
Okay,
All right.
Steve, do you want to start us off at least?
So, yeah, let's see. So I don't know if I think we're number one, should we talk about the OSRD now or to just talk about the submission of the preliminary, I guess?
We're in the OSRD. We're
Okay.
in the continued hearing, so that's what we want to.
Yeah, all right. So after after meeting the other day, we're kind of,
Hold on for 30 seconds. Before we start this, I just want to inform the board of something. Larry, Martha and I had a conversation with the applicants yesterday afternoon. The intention of the conversation was to see if we could get any forward direction on this project, since we've been kind of at a log jam for a little bit. It's been a little bit of time. The discussion was an opportunity to open dialogue in that manner. There were no decisions made in that discussion. It should be noted from the applicant's standpoint, they did have legal counsel present during the conversation. Well, we did not have town counsel, so it was an informal discussion just to get things going. With that said, Steve, go ahead. Thanks.
okay, yeah. So we all, after that meeting, we all huddled, we got together and looking closely at what we can do. We heard the concerns, heard the board's concerns. And I think at this point, what we'd like to do is we're in the process of
Hi.
oh, there we go.
I apologize. I got stuck and I could not get off. I could not get off of a meeting. I am very, very sorry. Apologize to the board. I was 10 minutes late and I'm sorry. Steve, I assume you're talking about the prelim?
No, we're talking about the OSRD.
Oh, did we already submit the prelim?
No, we've opened I guess we're submitting that after the
Okay.
OSRD.
So
Oh.
we're in the public hearing for the OSRD, just so we can keep this kind of
Sure.
Right.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. So basically we would like to continue tonight's meeting for the OSRD. We did have, we believe to be, in our opinion, a productive conversation relative to our plan. And we are looking for some additional time to go back and present to the board some suggestions. And I think that the board as well, would profit from some time to consider our additional, if you will, submittal, Mr. Pecos, Dr. Pecos. And if it would be possible to continue to, your meeting. I don't know what your meeting schedule is like, honestly. I saw how burdensome it had been over the last few months. So I would just look to see when the board would like to consider it. Should you like to consider it the same time we do the prelim, that's fine, whatever whatever's your preference.
Okay. So you basically just want to continue the public hearing for a date in time for it. Okay, cool. All right, super. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I apologize for my tardiness.
There's no worries on this end. I just want to ask our board members if there's any questions or comments on the discussion so far. Larry, do you have anything?
No, I'm fine with Attorney Mann's suggestion.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Woody, any comments or questions?
No, not at this time.
Thanks, Woody. Leslie?
Looking forward to the prelim and moving it forward after to a continued date.
Okay, great, thanks. I just want to see if there's any public comments. Martha, do you have any new information to enter into the record?
We received 3 written comments. I can pull the list up if you'd like, if I can manage to do that. Or we
Okay,
can wait until the next time to the continuance.
let's do that, okay? That makes the most sense, I think. Okay,
And Martha, if you could send me those comment letters too. I don't know if I got them or not. Did I?
No, they came in over the last 2 days. So I will send those to you. I haven't had a chance.
No worries. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
okay, great. So at this time, I'd like to open up for any public comments. So I'm looking for new information that would be helpful to the board since we're in our informational gathering state, and with the understanding that this hearing is going to be continued to another date and time to be determined. So is there any new public comment or information for the board to review?
I have nothing.
This would be for public comment. Did you see anything, Martha?
No, I don't.
Okay, great. So I think then what we'd like to do is we'd like to continue this public hearing for a date and time to be determined. Martha, how's our schedule looking?
So, can you see that?
So does the 16th of December make the most sense?
I would say.
Okay, yeah, because AL is going to be a long conversation. Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to the 16th of December at a nice time of 7:15. Is there such a motion?
I would so move.
Oh, thank you, Sir Larry. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Thank you, Woody. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, how say you, Larry?
Yes.
Okay, Woody, how say you?
Yes.
Thank you. Leslie, how say you?
Yes,
Thank you, Madame. And the chair is in favor as well.
Thank you. We very much appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see, where are we on our agenda? Let me pull the agenda back up. So, we're now into new business, a pre-application review, proposed 7-lot OSRD, 15 Coleman Road, map R02, lots 12 and 13, owner applicant. Go ahead, Tom.
And Tom, you need to,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Martha, are you going to give me the screen sharing?
I'm making you a co-host right now,
Okay,
so you should be all set.
okay. Let's see here. Okay, can you see this site context map, just to get started?
Give us a second and see if technology works. Not yet. We don't have screen sharing activated, Tom.
Okay. It's up on my screen, so I'm hoping it's gonna pop up shortly on yours.
So
Yeah, it may not. Did you activate screen share from the bottom of your?
I did, but let me try that again. I might have done it too soon.
You may also need to click on a little blue box in the bottom right corner that says share.
Oh. Yeah, and I am clicking on that, Martha, and I'm not getting a response here. So,
is it because there's too many co-hosts, Martha? Because if you need, you can bump me off, see if that makes a difference.
It shouldn't matter,
Okay.
because right now,
yeah.
I can try to pull it up from mine, but the version I have is pretty fuzzy. It was difficult to read, but you might.
Yeah, I've got a nice clean version here, so
Oh, there we go, Tom. You got it.
we do. Okay, hang on.
So you're just going to need to kind of minimize what's going on your screen because we can see your Zoom invite. So we want to probably minimize that.
Yeah,
And be careful of anything else that's on your screen.
yeah.
And you want
How about now? Is it loading on your end?
we're seeing the Zoom invite. So I don't know if you have all the things opened on your screen and you just want to click on that one that you want to open as opposed to all of them.
Yeah.
He
This
did get-
technology is so much fun.
Hold on. There we go.
So what we're seeing is your Zoom sign-in, which is the,
Really?
yeah, join the meeting. So I don't know if that was the first thing to pop up onto your screen that we see. You might be looking at something else.
Okay.
I just hope you don't kick yourself off, though.
No, I know. Trying to get that, so
Oh,
you're
we can-
seeing,
Yeah,
you're
we can
just
see your
seeing,
cursor moving around. Maybe if you just try to minimize that.
Yeah,
There you go. Let's see if it goes away. Okay, we need some of that good technology mojo here.
yeah, I appreciate the assistance. Now, is it off the screen now, my Zoom?
Not yet. So maybe what I'm gonna suggest is stop your screen sharing
Yeah,
and then start it again.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about this
No,
time consume.
You don't
That's
have to, you don't have to apologize at all.
nope.
Saw the issues I was having before, I think there are always some gremlins here.
Learning curve.
Okay, stop the share and then let's,
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're gonna probably start the screen sharing again. And what'll happen is it'll pop up everything that's on your screens, and then you just want to click on that one screen that you want to share, as opposed to all of them.
yeah.
The other option is to close everything off your screen except that one thing you want to leave open. That's the other way to do it too.
Yeah.
Folks in the public, we do Zoom tutorials every Monday and Wednesday evening, at 6:30 prior to.
This is terrible.
He's doing better than I would probably, so.
And that's, you're not seeing it now, right?
Not yet.
Can it go down to the middle section where in green where it says screen share?
Yeah. And then when I click on share, hey, Jimmy? Can you give me 20 seconds to get a little technical help here myself?
You're calling in somebody that's younger than we are, right?
Bear with me.
Hmm. Have we had 3 co-hosts before?
Yes, we have.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because he was actually screen sharing, Woody. It was just what was being
Yeah,
shared.
I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was I don't recall seeing 3 co-hosts before, that's why I asked.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even comment on the technology here.
Yeah, Woody and you and I just need to sit back and answer the questions.
I missed out on some of the computer technology, being outdoors all the time.
I should be able to click share here and it's not letting me.
Tom, what's the file size? Oops, he's muted.
Here we go, Tom. Oh. So we're looking at the Zoom.
Sign in box.
So what we could do, Tom,
Well,
because I think you want to show us this screen, right?
yeah, I do.
Okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll kind of reverse our order a little bit. We'll see if we can solve what you're doing, and we'll kind of go to the preliminary presentation that was going to take place after you, and we'll just kind of reverse positions. Would that be okay with you?
Absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay, and hopefully your screen sharing will come into place. So that's, I think, what we'll do is we'll just kind of move things around a little bit. So I'm going to come back to you, Tom, in a minute. And
Justin, Tom, if I may, Tom, if you can't get it up, if this file size is small enough, you could email it to me and I can try to pull it up for you.
Okay.
But see if you can get it solved at your end first. Sorry for the interruption, just a suggestion.
That's great. Thank you, Martha. That being the case, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a submission appearance. This would be Steve Sawyer Design Consultants, Inc. for submission of a preliminary subdivision plan, Surrey Lane for 105 High Road, map R48, lot 49, applicant, DePiro LLC, owner, Arthur and Sandra Costanzas. Okay. Steve, that is you.
All right, I believe Jill will be introducing this project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jill, that will be you.
Thank you.
Passing the
very
torch.
much. The torch has been passed. Good evening, Jill Mann here on behalf of DePiro Properties and Arthur Costonis, the owner of the property located at 105 High Road. In accordance with the submittal that we, well, in accordance with the rules and regulations of the town of Newbury subdivision control, we have submitted a preliminary application for definitive approval. Essentially, it just shows the division of the property at 105 High Road, and as required pursuant to your regulations, we are delivering that plan and application to this evening's meeting. We have in fact delivered 2 copies to the Board of Health. We have delivered a copy to the town clerk, and we have delivered a check in the amount of $2,200 reflecting the payment and fee due and payable. We've complied with the rules of the submission. We delivered a draft environmental narrative. We delivered a soils map, and we did deliver preliminary plans that basically just show the breakdown. The purpose of this preliminary plan is basically it's a freeze of zoning. So you basically understand what the rules are for being able to develop the property. And it's simply intended to be able to preserve the rights of the applicant going forward. You know, to the extent something were to happen and the board were to choose not to issue the OSRD, we would proceed with the preliminary plan and go to definitive. And that's the whole purpose of tonight's submission. And I guess we're just asking for the board to accept it. We did review it with Ms. Taylor, and she had a couple of changes because there was a couple of things we needed to adjust, and we did so. And that's basically it.
Okay, thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you. Martha, do you have any comments on the submission?
No, as Attorney Mann said, there were a couple of things that were picked up for the submission, which was delivered today.
Okay. And where would you like to go from here?
So I think it's the board's custom to vote to accept the submissions.
Okay. Would there be a motion to accept the submission?
Motion to accept the submissions for 105 High Road, Newbury.
Great. Thank you, Leslie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Larry. Is there any discussion? All right. On the motion, how say you, Larry?
Yes.
Great. Leslie, how say you?
Yes.
Woody, how say you?
Yes.
Great. And the chair's in favor as well. Beautiful. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you very much. When do we schedule? I don't know the process. Is there a scheduling to review the preliminary? How do you?
I'm going to defer to Martha.
And since it's not a public hearing process, you know, we don't need to notice it, but
Right.
it will be scheduled for a time on the agenda.
So do you do that tonight, Ms. Taylor, or I just didn't know what the?
Not necessarily. I mean, if the board would like to, we could take another look at the schedule and see if we can set a time now.
Do you usually do that, Martha, when you have a little bit better handle on what the agendas look like for the week or two coming up?
We usually do. I mean, we work around the public hearings that we have.
So we can, if you want, we can sprinkle it somewhere between, or we can do a continuance of the public hearing. I'll ask the applicant, do you have a preference, Jill?
No, whatever is best for the board is fine with us. I mean, that night would be fine. Before would be fine. It's up to you.
Okay, great. Then what I'll do is I'll have Martha get in touch with you and we'll make that determination. That sounds like a good plan. Perfect.
Perfect to me. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you. You as well.
Martha, could I get, do you have paper copies of all this plan? The one I was able to download off the computer is really not very usable.
I do.
Yeah, okay, if you could just let me know when I can stop by and pick those up, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I too would like one. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to kick back to Tom. How are you doing, buddy?
Just coming back in here.
Oh, okay. Coming in on a different computer? Tom, I see you in two versions. This is almost like stereo vision. Are you going to need to unmute one of you? Just one computer, not both. Otherwise, we'll get feedback.
Oh, yeah.
So probably unmute one microphone somehow.
There we go. Okay, good.
Got you, Tom.
All right. I'm gonna try to get to my presentation here through my emails. Jimmy, I don't see how Martha, are you sharing
So we
with
might
this
have,
device?
are you gonna have to make two co-hosts on this situation, Martha? Who's gonna have two computers, Tom Z and then Tom Long Z?
Yeah, that's going to be tricky.
You can leave the meeting.
Which?
All right, you know what? Why don't I leave the meeting on the computer? And how do I do that over here? There we go. And then I'll just have the iPad engaged here.
Okay.
All right, see if that'll work, Martha.
Okay.
I really apologize. I'm so glad I got to go early because
You
it's going to
don't-
take.
You don't have to apologize, Tom. You should have seen our first meeting. It's somewhere up in YouTube land, I think.
Martha, you let me know when you're
You are a co-host, so you should be able to
okay.
screen share.
No, this is not what I wanted here.
Matthew, you able to receive those in an email?
It hasn't been sent, but Tom, if you want to email it to me, I've got my iPad open.
Yeah. All right, let me, actually, my iPad is locked up here now.
Don't get frustrated, Tom. We have all been there.
There we go. Martha, I'm gonna email you a couple of different emails because my files are in multiple locations, all right?
Okay.
Let me see here. Martha, tell me if you received that site context map.
Nothing's come in yet.
Okay.
But it may take, here it comes. All right. Would you like me to try to pull that one up first, Tom? You ready?
Yes, if you could, that would be great, Martha. Yes, thanks.
Okay, let me see if I can
And
do that.
once you have these in front of you, I think this will be very, very quick. All right, you should be getting a yield map. And
I don't know where that one came from. We're having all kinds of gremlins tonight. I just got a screen share paused on that one. So let me try this again.
okay, if I can get you this last email, Martha, you'll have everything that I had. Okay.
Is that showing up for everybody or not?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let me try this again.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't need to be sharing if you have those emails, Martha.
Yeah, I'm trying to sharing has failed to start. Okay, let's try this one. Let me see if I can close that, close that, close that.
So we see your Newbury content map sent from your iPad.
That's correct. Newbury context map, correct.
So if we can open up that attachment, Martha, the PDF.
I'm getting that screen sharing is paused, so I'm
Okay.
gonna have to, not quite sure why that's happening tonight.
Should we open the PDF up first and then see if we can screen share it?
Yeah, I tried that before and it didn't seem to work, but I will try it again.
Well, Tom, we'll see you in 4 weeks. Okay, buddy? No, just kidding.
Thank you so much for the evening's entertainment. Yeah, I know.
Is there a motion somewhere? I'm sorry.
Give Tom a break.
Oh, please. I am very happy to be here, however.
Well, we're happy to have
You
you.
look at, yeah.
Hey, how's your stone doing out there?
Oh, all good, well protected.
Good.
Right, let me try this again.
Go right ahead.
I can't. Did that work?
Yes.
Yes.
Whoa, yay.
Was that the third time? I think that was the third time, actually.
I think so.
Okay. We're good.
Oh, great. All right, are we ready now?
Go, Tom. The floor is yours.
Martha, I'll ask you to change screens at a couple of points. This should be pretty straightforward, but
Okay.
so, well, thank you all. And for the record, my name is Tom Zarico, 15 SD Street in Amesbury, the owner and applicant for this proposed OSRD at 15 Coleman Road. I expect that this pre-application will be followed as soon as we can with an application for the special permit. I need about 8 minutes probably here to make this presentation and explain the process that we followed for this pre-application. And then we can return to some of the pages of this presentation if we need to. I'd like to keep it, I guess, brief and consolidated and get through it. And then we can return to anything that you'd like, I guess, at that point, if that makes sense to everybody. Okay, so as introduction and for perspective, this 15 Coleman Road is a 32-acre site. It includes a 1787 traditional white clapboard home, which I did have photos of, but I didn't want to complicate the transmission here. So I think most of you are familiar with it. It's approximately 3,000 square feet, presenting parallel in a nice orientation to Coleman Road. There's an adjacent 40 by 36-foot traditional post and beam barn, a small shed workshop, and a more recent single bay garage building as well. The grounds surrounding these buildings consist of informally manicured open grassed areas, farm paths leading into more established and mature forested areas, a bisecting wetland, which is traversed by an existing farm road, which provides access to the rear of the site. And there's gently rolling terrain crisscrossed by farm paths and stone walls, and vegetated with mature evergreens and deciduous trees out back. The existing street presentation is dominated by the complex of buildings that I already mentioned, along with stone walls, and most notably, as you mentioned, Peter, the witch stone, which is now located in the stone wall near the east end of the frontage, which is the right-hand side of the frontage as you're facing the property at Coleman. There's a few mature trees along the street scene of varying health, and a picturesque stone wall on the west boundary, which frames the views of the open farm fields next door. The site's bordered by undeveloped forested property of the Governor's Academy, open farm fields, a few residences. It's located in the agricultural residential zone and does not lie within an overlay zone or a floodplain zone, water supply protection area, or any natural heritage areas. Public water is there and available at the site, and on-site septic systems would be required. The project goals that me and my team identified here were to preserve and enhance the appropriate elements of the existing complex of buildings, protect the wetland resource and buffer zones and contiguous forested upland beyond that wetland, and to sensitively design and develop a small residential neighborhood of high quality and reasonably sized homes as expressed in the new rezoning bylaw. I think it's section 95 or 97-5.c.1. Martha, could you pull up the density proof plan? It's referred to as the yield plan.
Okay, so I'm going to have to stop sharing this, call up your
Okay.
email. So this is going to be a multi-step process, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's okay. I'll continue to speak as you're doing that, if that's all right with everybody. In order to achieve the goals that I already identified, we first need to consider what a conventional subdivision design option might achieve in terms of those goals and the allowed density. We reviewed historical soil tests. That's looking good. And supplemented that with extensive additional soil evaluations and tests to determine a targeted basic maximum number of 5 lots with compliant road standards, lot geometry, and soil suitability standards. This plan provides only for limited satisfaction of the goals that we identified. Again, this is the conventional yield plan. I don't want to spend too much time on that, Martha. I just wanted to show that for the record.
Okay. Now I'm going to have to go pull up your next email.
Which is it's referenced as HAI. That's Huntress Associates Newbury OSRD sketch plans. Do you see that on the emails?
I do.
Okay, that's the one that we want to go to next. Okay. In order to more fully accomplish the project goals, we then proceeded through the prescribed 4-step OSRD site review process, guided, as I mentioned, by landscape architect Chris Huntress, who I think you're familiar with. Step 1, screen 1, is to identify the primary and secondary conservation areas: wetlands, buffer zones, forested areas, stone walls, farm paths, slopes over 15%, existing structures. That's what we see in this screen here. The yellow boxes down near the street are the existing buildings. And I think the key lets you understand most of what that plan is showing. I mean, the blue and light blue is wetland and buffer zones. The green is forested areas, and the darker gray is manicured grass areas. Okay, if we move on to step 2, that involves locating the approximate home sites and development areas. In this case, is that L2, I think? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
The area down near the street is the prime development or primary development area that we've identified and we're focusing in on. Then we go on to step 3, aligning streets and trails. You can see that a little bit more enhanced detail on here, adding prospective home footprints. These are just not arbitrary, but they are, as you can see, a variety of footprints, and that variety is driven by a number of things. It's driven by lot lines. It's driven by site conditions that we see. It's driven by views, as you can see the arrows on the left-hand side, the views to the farm fields on the left. So those things are all taken into consideration. And then we go on to the step 4, the final of those screens, and draw in the lot lines. As you can see, a little bit more definition there. Okay. This is probably where we want to look, I guess, for the most part. But Martha, I'm going to ask you to go to the final OSRD plan that I sent to you. It's another PDF, and it's referenced as OSRD plan. The resulting OSRD plan, which I'm sure is going to come up. Martha, thank you so much.
It will. I just had to. Okay, got it.
Okay, there's a lot of information on there, so it's kind of a busy plan, but we wanted to get as much as we could in there. Thanks. So the resulting OSRD plan, which you saw in Chris Huntress's, prettier plan, is a 7-lot program. It includes 6 new lots and 1 lot with the existing home and barn. And this represents the combined input, not only from me as the property owner and applicant and developer, but from Chris Huntress, the landscape architect, and Phil Henry, the engineer, and the surveyors and the soils experts, along with the feedback that we've received, from staff and from the municipal officials pursuant to the earlier site walk that we had. Now, this proposed 7-lot density relies on the bylaws 97-5.c.11.a, which provides for a bonus lot for each additional 10% open space over and above the 50% minimum. In this plan, 86% of the site is proposed as permanently preserved open space. That amount of open space would typically provide a density bonus of 3 lots, but the density bonus is further limited by the bylaw to 2 lots by the 50% total bonus limitation. So that brings us to the 7 lots, which is the conventional proof plan or yield plan that you saw of 5 lots plus 2 as bonus lots. And that includes the existing home and barn as one of those lots. The plan is that the existing home and barn would remain in place and be improved. The small shed workshop is proposed to be documented in detail and then recreated at the front of the site. As indicated, you can see if you look at lot 7 there on the plan, down near where lot 7 intersects with Coleman Road, that small structure there is the shed workshop that exists on site that we propose to rebuild there because it appears unlikely to be able to survive a move, even of that short distance. And by recreating it, I think it can be a more useful structure, but we want to document it and recreate it, in its original form. And that would retain the aggregation of the three relevant buildings in the street scene from Coleman, and would also buffer that first house from view a little bit. This proposed development would consist of a 402-foot long cul-de-sac, public water, common septic, pedestrian connections to the trails, underground electric, telephone, cable, possibly natural gas, depending upon the provisioning policies of the gas company, and drainage improvements. We envision a 40-foot right-of-way expanded to a 125-foot diameter cul-de-sac with a paving width of 22 feet, expanded to sufficient size for all emergency response vehicles in the cul-de-sac. Proposing no sidewalk and proposing traditional curb and drainage, since the LID alternative actually increases the tree cutting and buffer zone disturbance because of the additional grading that has to take place in this case. It's kind of unusual, but we've looked at that, and we can support that and discuss it as we move forward. The roadway is expected to have very modest grades, not exceeding 4%, and result in a nearly balanced site in terms of earth movement. We've talked to the water department about water pressure and capacity, which is fine. And we've been communicating with the fire department, reviewing vehicle access standards to make sure that the diameter of the road and the turning radius in the circle is compliant with all of their needs. So I think that gives a sufficient overview to prime a discussion and questions. I have a few questions I'd like to ask of the board and Martha of you, I guess, before we conclude. But at this point, I guess I just look for feedback and questions and discussion.
Would you like me to keep these up, or shall I?
What do you think would be most helpful to the members? I mean, has everybody seen this? Are you familiar with enough for us to just concentrate on our interpersonal relationships here and see faces, or would you rather have a map up?
Well, let me first start with Martha. Your opening comments on this, Martha?
No, I don't at this point. I mean, I've had several conversations with Tom, and we did do a site walk out there. I've actually been out to the site a couple times, once previously. And I think they have gone through the OSRD steps and outlined those, which is nice to see, because that doesn't always happen quite as clearly as this time. So, I mean, certainly there are a number of things to talk about and to consider as this moves forward, but I don't have any questions at this point.
Yes, and I was also able to do a site walk with Martha and Tom and his team to look at the site and to see the beautiful witch stone. Martha, this is the first time the board's seen this. This is correct, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. So, Tom, since it is the first time, being dipped in the toes of the board, I think it's kind of an informational gathering type of situation where people are becoming aware of what the potential is. And I'll just ask very quickly if there are any introductory questions. And so I'm just going to ask Larry, do you have any introductory questions or comments?
Have you done any perk testing?
Yes, extensively. Yeah, we Larry, I don't recall how many pits we did and how many perks we did, but they're all over the Coleman Street side of the wetlands, and we had some success or reasonable success, but we had to work at it. We needed to look around to get good sites, and we've got substantiated soils to support that 5-lot yield plan. We've also referred back to the tests that were done some number of years ago, I think in 2016 or 17, which are still valid tests that were in that area across the wetland, which we don't intend to do anything here, but for yield purposes, we referred to those tests to justify those lots that were shown in the yield plan.
As far as the OSRD lots, are they going to go with individual septic systems? You're going to do a common system?
Well, we're planning on doing a common system. The best soils really are near the existing home, the existing house. I mean, those are really the best soils. And as we looked at this, we just thought that there was tremendously improved home design flexibility by consolidating at the best soil location and minimizing the grading on the site, overall, by having a common system.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Woody, do you have any introductory questions or comments?
No, not at this time. No.
Okay, great. Leslie?
I was just wondering if any of the property was, fell under the 61A or the 61B protection, and if it is, will it be protected? What isn't being developed, will it still be protected under that, those clauses?
Portions of the property, if not most of it, were under 61A. It has been released from 61A by the previous owner. So
all of those, all of that's been taken care of by the.
That's been taken care of, and all the documents are in order and on record for that. So the intent, of course, with this is that the bulk of the site remains untouched. So it's out of 61A, but it would 86% of the site would go back into permanently preserved state.
So it's a 32-acre site, and how large is the developmental area of it?
Well, I can do that calculation specifically, but if it's 32 acres times 0.14, the entire front area, which is all on the street side of the wetland, is 4.48 acres in total. Not all of that would be altered, but that is the extent of the roadway and all of the lots.
Okay, thank you.
4.48 out of 32.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay.
And Tom, just to clarify, originally, there was a thought of a distant lot in the back, and it appears as though that's come off the plan.
Yeah, I personally, I never really liked that. And as we walked out there, and as I've walked out there, particularly when we had a site walk, I could feel the anxiety about putting something out there. And so we drew that back into the front part of the property. That actually, Peter, was one of the driving forces behind a common septic system, being the best approach here. There's some really good soils out back that helps justify the density. But once we started thinking about not touching anything out back, we really had to find a way to consolidate those systems, and so that's what we did. We've got a little bit of activity within the buffer zone in this revised, or in this concept. There's one house that is just a bit into the 100-foot buffer. It would just be a little bit of grading and a little bit of structure in the 100-foot buffer. That's lot number 4.
Lot 4. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see we, as we always do, we gave some real creative thought to just honoring those buffers however we possibly could, including the Lot 5 house plan, which will be an interesting design, I'm sure, if we actually build that one, but it kind of walks its way along the buffer. And again, just trying to do everything we can to honor the buffer zones.
And just for clarification for the board, there would be a path that would extend between 3 and 4 that would allow access to the back property for people to enjoy that beautiful back property.
Yeah, and those show up better on Chris Huntress's concept sketches that you saw, and but there's great access there, and already established trails and a good network through that back area for enjoying that site.
Yeah, and I would just comment on that, Tom, and to the board. When we walked that back property and the trails through back there, if you want to talk about a perfect setup for preserving a piece of property that has already established trails that fits the character and nature of this community, this really fits that very, very nicely.
Yeah, I agree, Peter. It's really a pretty piece. I mean, again, my history has always been to take this approach with my development. This is, I think, a great opportunity for me as a business person to set another example, really, of what can be done.
Well, I want to acknowledge that and thank you for listening to our conversation that we had on our site walk, and as Martha indicated, laying out the thought process to how you arrived at this configuration.
Yeah.
Okay. Martha, do you have anything else at this time that we need to do going forward?
I don't think so. I had invited various board and staff people to come. I don't know if anybody's actually here to provide comments. I think it might be helpful to
On-screen share?
Well, I can take that down if you'd like, just so we can see. And it might be helpful to have a preliminary with the Conservation Commission, just regarding the potential work in the buffer zone, to see if there are any, anything from their perspective that could be a showstopper at some point. And Bill was on our walk as well. So
yeah, I think that again, I think we're having a minimal impact there. Well within typical design standards and allowances for sure on that. It's really just I think a question of refining the details, showing the grading, and making sure the stormwater management is up to snuff with regard to where it discharges and how it interplays with the wetland. Technical stuff that we'd expect to get to in the next step.
Yeah.
In fact, which brings up a question, if I could ask, in your process, is it acceptable or preferred to file concurrently with conservation when we file, the formal applications with planning? I would think that we'd want to run parallel tracks and leave hearings open in both to make sure that we have a consistency of conditions and an understanding of the final plans. Is that a good approach from your standpoint?
yes, that's what we prefer, just to make sure that everybody is in sync and there's
Right.
consensus. And you don't want to get approval from one board and then come to another board and have
Okay.
something completely change.
No, that makes sense. That's the way I prefer to do it myself. If that takes another hearing or to coordinate, that's okay. Other questions for me?
I think that's very good, Tom, and we appreciate your time tonight and your presentation and laying this out for the board to be introduced to.
Could I ask one or two more questions while I'm here?
Sure.
And we're so much earlier than we
Martha,
expected.
you're keeping track, okay? One or two, no, just go ahead, Tom.
Okay. I guess we obviously we want to continue and move forward with the evolution of our design for this site. Is it safe to assume that we have a meeting of the minds to some degree about the density and geometry and you know, and the proposed development area, I guess. I mean, you know, I don't want to move on with something and not have an understanding, I guess, that we're doing the right thing.
So to give you a definitive, I don't know if I can do that. I can kind of do a straw poll to see how comfortable people are with stuff. If that would help you, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Larry, how are you feeling right now?
You know, I see absolutely nothing that gives me any concern here. And frankly, I look forward to a site walk. Love to see the property.
Okay, Woody, how do you feel, my friend?
I feel the same, and like Larry said, a site walk would be nice to get a feel, feet on the ground feel of the project, but otherwise, on paper, from what I've seen, it looks good.
Great, Woody. Leslie, how do you feel?
It's one of my favorite properties as I drive by. And I would love to go on a site walk. And I can see Tom's vision, and I think it's a good fit.
Well, Tom, look at that. You got a bunch of people that want to go walking in the woods. I think it's wonderful, Arthur. So I guess we're going to be scheduling a sidewalk. What do you think about that?
I guess we are.
Let's do it in the next 2 weeks, okay, or in the next 3 days before it snows. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, that would be nice. The sooner the better, obviously, if we can. I mean, I look forward to having you all out there and being able to you know gain perspective on what we're trying to do.
Do we want to potentially look at a date for a site walk, Martha?
We certainly can.
Yep.
Obviously,
You know me, Martha, Tuesday's my only day that I'm not available, so.
right.
So just understanding that we have Thanksgiving that's going to throw a little bit of a wrench in the works.
Well, yeah, well, on that, Pete, as I said, I mean, I'd love to do it, but is it maybe a little premature at this point? Maybe we want to go forward with the OSRD submittal?
We certainly can, Larry.
You know, I mean, with the holidays coming up and,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah. I mean, I would.
because we always do too.
Go ahead, Martha. I love taking direction. Please help me.
No, I was just going to suggest that I think maybe so we don't try to squeeze things in, we aim for after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I think there might be benefit though in getting out there sooner
Right.
rather than later, so that everybody has a sense of the site when the application comes in.
It's helpful, isn't it?
I think so.
I found it very helpful. So with that said, let's look for something after Thanksgiving to walk in the woods. So Leslie, what day is good for you? In fact, Tuesday is good or Tuesday is bad?
Tuesday's bad. That's my
Tuesday's
bad.
Okay,
Yep.
no Tuesday. Okay.
But, you know, if you want to do that would be a great Black Friday versus going shopping. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
I'm not sure about what if folks have any holiday plans, so I don't think I want to push on that just in case people are actually doing family stuff. So
The 10-day forecast is scattered showers on Friday the 27th anyway, so.
It's what?
Scattered showers on
Oh,
Black Friday anyway,
okay.
so I don't think we want to do that.
do we want to look at a Friday? Is that a more comfortable day for people, or are people pretty flexible? I'm pretty flexible for the most part,
Yeah, I'm pretty flexible.
except for Tuesday.
Yeah,
Except-
Friday's not really the best for me. I could do it in an afternoon.
Okay, so let's look at how does December 3rd, which is a Thursday, look? We have a planning board meeting on the night before.
Would you think we could go to the following week?
Absolutely, Larry.
I actually have a medical procedure, November 30th. I don't know if I'm going to be up to it that week.
Okay,
So
perfect. So let's look at the 10th. How does that look for folks? That would be Thursday the 10th. And if that's the case, we probably want to do it. We want to do it early afternoon, Martha, you think? Just Trying to think when the sun's going down and the wind starts picking up and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I would say late morning or early afternoon.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about late morning, like 11 o'clock-ish?
Fine with me.
Sounds good.
Woody?
Fine with me on the 10th, correct?
That would be the 10th at 11 o'clock.
So that's
Sounds good.
Thursday.
I'm gonna get my crayon out here. Thursday, the 10th at 11 a.m. And then I'll put it into my technology. Excellent. Great. Tom, so
That's weather dependent.
weather dependent, of course, and we can
Right.
always make a rain date / snow date. That was your first question, Tom. Now you have one more question at the well tonight.
No, I think,
That was it?
I think I'm okay with my questions. I just wanted to have a comfort level really that, you know, everybody knows that, you know, schedules and workloads have been very dynamic and difficult these last 8 months. And I really wanted to, you know, have comfort in releasing my engineer to start doing some more work here on this. And I think I have that at least from, and I realize it's subject to, you know, all the review that has to go on, but at least I feel comfortable investing in his time to move things along a little bit. And
Okay.
we'll probably have more to talk about that way by the 10th as well, which will probably be helpful, I think.
Excellent. Perfect.
Awesome.
Great,
Okay.
Tom. We appreciate your presenting and your working with us.
And I appreciate it very much. And Martha, thank you so much for saving the presentation there a little bit for me.
You're welcome. If you want a tutorial another time, I'm happy to work with it.
I thought all of the best help in the world here behind me here, and I'm gonna have to back that up with more family members next time.
There you go. There you go.
All
Okay.
right, thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. Okay.
Okay.
I think, Martha, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. And it is 8:53. So I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Leslie. Is there a second?
I would be happy to second that.
All right. It was seconded and seconded. Is there any discussion? I don't see any discussion on the motion. Larry, how say you?
Yes.
And Leslie, how say you?
Yes.
Woody, how say you?
Yes, and good night, everyone.
And the
Night,
chair-
Woody.
Good job on timing tonight. Awesome.
Ryan, I want to thank you very much for sticking through and being with us this evening for our pleasant conversation, and Martha as well.
My pleasure as always, and I particularly enjoyed hearing about that last application, so.
It's very nice. Yes, yes.
Have a
Emily,
great Thanksgiving, everybody.
yes, Emily, thank you very much
You
as well.
too.
Everyone stay warm and stay safe.
Okay.
You too.
Night,
All
everybody.
as well. Be well.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.